Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Aisyah binti Hafiz. My metric number is L2480575. And welcome everyone to our presentation for our minor project on risk and crisis communication. Before we dive into the core of our presentation, let's take a look at the roadmap for today's presentation. We have structured our analysis into 8 comprehensive sections to give you a clear step-by-step look at our findings. We will begin with our article selection introduction, followed by an analysis of the crisis development. Then, we will look at how the risk communication strategies will evaluate and measure the damage and effectiveness for the resolution. Moving forward, we will cover the long-term impact analysis alongside our key recommendation and lesson learned. Finally, we will anchor our finding using theoretical framework metrics and wrap everything up with our conclusion and citation. To kick things off, let's look at the foundational article that shaped our research. To give this project a strong foundation, we choose two distinct research pillars that allow us to examine crisis communication from both a real-world case study perspective and a broader theoretical lens. Article A: take a deep dive into a major corporate crisis, the 2015 Nestle Maggi recalls in India. This gives us an excellent practical look at how a global brand managed a sudden crisis. Article D complement this by exploring risk communication in food safety from both a theoretical and practical approach. By utilizing this dual article review, our goal is to explore how organizations navigate unexpected systematic health risks. This comparison will give us a truly holistic review of crisis communication dynamic. With the introduction in mind, let's move on to part A and look at what happened with the Nestle Maggi recall in India.
Good day everyone, my name is Mithran Ganesh, my metric number is L2480487. Today I'll be presenting my article review on the Maggi food safety crisis which happened in India, focusing on risk and crisis communication. The Maggi crisis occurred in 2015 in India and involved allegations that Maggi instant noodles contained excessive levels of lead and incorrect labeling information. These allegations led to widespread media coverage, public concern, product recalls, and temporary bans in several regions. As a result, the crisis became a major issue for Nestle, affecting consumer trust and brand reputation globally. This case is important because it shows how a product-related risk can quickly escalate into a major crisis due to communication breakdowns and public reaction. The crisis developed through 4 main stages. In the prodromal stage, Maggi was a highly trusted and popular instant noodle brand. However, there were underlying risks related to food safety compliance and regulatory differences across countries, which were not fully addressed early on. In the acute stage, food safety authorities reported that Maggi noodles contained excessive lead levels. These findings were quickly shared through media channels, causing public concern and regulatory investigations. In the chronic stage, the situation escalated significantly. Maggi products were banned and recalled in several regions. This led to strong media criticism, social media backlash, and a major decline in consumer trust. In the resolution stage, which is the final stage, Nestle worked with authorities, conducted further testing, and improved product quality standards. Maggi was eventually allowed back into the market, but rebuilding trust took much longer than resolving the technical issue. There are some factors that may be concluded. Internal factors such as delayed response and coordination challenges, along with external factors like government pressure, media coverage, and social media influence made communication more complex during the crisis. Nestle used several communication strategies during the crisis. Initially, the company defended the safety of its product and questioned some test results. Later, it recalled products, cooperated with regulators, and launched campaigns to rebuild trust. The Maggi crisis can be explained using several communication theories. Apologia theory explains how organizations defend their reputation using strategies like denial and corrective action. In this case, Nestle initially defended the product before shifting to corrective action. A strength of this theory is that it helps protect the organization's image in the early stage of a crisis. However, a limitation is that defensive communication can reduce public trust if it appears unclear or untransparent. Image repair theory focuses on restoring reputation through actions like corrective measures and rebuilding trust. Nestle applied this by recalling products and improving quality control. A strength is that it provides clear steps to rebuild reputation. A limitation is that it takes time and trust is not restored immediately even after corrective actions. Decision and diffusion theory explains how information spreads quickly through media and social networks, influencing public opinion. In this crisis, negative news spread rapidly before official clarification. A strength is that it explains how fast public reaction develops. A limitation is that organizations have very little control over misinformation spreads. Excellence theory emphasizes two-way communication between organizations and stakeholders. Nestle improved this later by engaging more openly with regulators and consumers. A strength is that it builds trust through transparency and dialogue. A limitation is that it is difficult to apply during fast-moving crises. The Maggi crisis caused damage at multiple levels. For individuals, consumers became worried about food safety and many stopped buying Maggi products temporarily. For the community, there was reduced trust in processed and packaged foods, with people becoming more cautious about what they consumed. For the country, the crisis raised concerns about food safety regulations and enforcement systems. Overall, the crisis was partially resolved when Maggi was returned to the market, but restoring public trust took a much longer time. The long-term impact of the crisis was significant. For Nestle, the company improved its quality control system and strengthened its crisis communication strategies. For stakeholders such as consumers and retailers, awareness of food safety increased and expectations for transparency became higher. For the food industry, stricter regulations and more frequent inspections were introduced, and other companies improved their safety standards. This shows that the effects of a crisis continue even after the immediate issue is resolved. In my opinion, the crisis could have been managed better with faster and more transparent communication in the early stages. Early acknowledgement of concerns could have reduced confusion and public panic. The key lesson from this case is that speed, transparency, and consistency are essential in crisis communication. Organizations must respond quickly and communicate clearly to maintain trust. Another important lesson is the role of social media, which can spread information rapidly and shape public opinion before official statements are released. The main implication is that crisis communication is not only about solving technical problems, but also about protecting reputation and maintaining stakeholder trust. In conclusion, the Maggi food safety crisis demonstrates how a risk can quickly escalate into a global crisis due to communication challenges and public reaction. Although Nestle eventually recovered through corrective actions, the case highlights the importance of timely communication, transparency, and stakeholder engagement in crisis management. Thank you for your attention.
Moving into part B of our presentation, we are shifting our focus toward food safety, specifically looking at the theoretical and practical aspect of risk. To understand how these risks operate, we utilize a four-stage crisis model that traces a threat from its invisible origins to its final resolution. First, we have prodromal stage. This is the pre-crisis phase, where risks exist as hidden, such as vulnerabilities in HACCP protocols or early microbacterial mutation, before any public outbreak occurs. Second is the acute stage. This is the trigger event. The crisis officially begins here, usually marked by a first wave of reported illness or officially laboratory notification identifying harmful pathogen. Third is chronic stage. This is the peak of the crisis where it expands into the public sphere. We see heavy media amplification, mandatory product recalls, and widespread public panic. Finally, we reach the resolution stage. This is the recovery phase. The crisis is brought under control through containment strategies, legal settlement, and structure update to safety guidelines to prevent future occurrence. Now, let's look at how this four stage map out against our broader theoretical framework metric.
Hi, my name is Puteri and I will be going through our theoretical framework metrics. To truly analyze how risk and crisis communication operates under pressure, we map our findings against three foundational communication theories. First, let's look at the image repair theory. In both food and safety industrial crises, this is heavily applied during post-recall PR campaign. It co-strengthens that it provides organizations with a practical guide to rebuilding brand equity and regain public acceptance after a failure. However, its major limitation is fundamentally retrospective and focused on corporate reputations rather than prioritizing immediately public safety during the peak and active crisis. Next, we look into the excellence theory. This theory advocates for continuous two-way symmetrical dialogue between an organization and its stakeholders. When applied properly, it builds deep long-term institutional trust. The limitation here, however, is execution. Symmetrical open dialogue becomes exceptionally difficult during an acute crisis phase when swift top-down directives are required to instantly protect life. Finally, we have discussed and diffusion theories. We see this applied heavily when tracking how product recall or emergency warning alert travel through a social system. It is highly effective at optimizing the flow and spread of critical alerts, but its weak point is that it assumes poorly rational behavior from the public. In reality, high-stress environment triggered emotional panic which this technical model often underestimates. With this theoretical understanding, let's look at the concrete lessons we can draw from this model on our next slide. Moving on to our recommendation and lessons learned, we can look at this takeaway through the lens of Fink's crisis model shown on the right. A crisis is not a single event. It is a life cycle that cycles through the prodromal, acute, chronic, and resolution stage. Based on our analysis across this entire cycle, we have synthesized three core lessons, which is the first lesson is that the technology is not absolute. While automated digital warning systems are crucial for minimizing immediate risk, they are not silver bullet. Physical infrastructure resilience must exceed digital warning capabilities. If your physical backups fail, the fastest warning system in the world cannot stop a crisis from escalating. Our second lesson centers on social capital. We found out that community trust, mutual aid, and pre-crisis civics training are just as vital to survive as physical seawalls or corporate emergency defenses. When an industry or government fosters deep public trust before a disaster hits, the community is able to respond with discipline and solidarity rather than the chaos. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is our ethical duty. True risk communication must be treated as a fundamental public health obligation, never as a reactive PR marketing tool used to sweep errors under the rug. Managing risk with defensive messaging or corporate delays systematically backfires. Long-term resilience requires organizations to have the moral courage to share inconvenience truths transparently and act with empathy. Thank you, and I will now hand the presentation over to my team.
Moving into part B of our presentation, we are shifting our focus toward food safety, specifically looking at the theoretical and practical aspect of risks. To understand how these risks operate, we utilize a four-stage crisis model that traces a threat from its invisible origins to its final resolution. First, we have prodromal stage. This is the pre-crisis phase, where risks exist as hidden, such as vulnerabilities in HACCP protocols or early microbacterial mutation, before any public outbreak occurs. Second is the acute stage. This is the trigger event. The crisis officially begins here, usually marked by a first wave of reported illness or officially laboratory notification identifying harmful pathogen. Third is chronic stage. This is the peak of the crisis where it expands into the public sphere. We see heavy media amplification, mandatory product recalls, and widespread public panic. Finally, we reach the resolution stage. This is the recovery phase. The crisis is brought under control through containment strategies, legal settlement, and structure update to safety guidelines to prevent future occurrence. Now, let's look at how this four stage map out against our broader theoretical framework metric.